Hello. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about AC bridges. So before we get into the details of the AC bridges, these type of bridges are commonly used to measure the resistance and inductance of coils, the capacitance and the dissipation after capacitors, and also the unknown frequency. So let us also look at the different types of commonly used type of AC bridges. The the first type of bridge is called the Maxwell's inductance bridge. The other one, second one is the Hayes bridge, and we have Shearing bridge, Wayne's bridge, Anderson bridge, etc. So there are many different type of bridges are commonly used for the measurement of various parameters such as the coil parameters or inductor parameters such as the inductance and the resistance, capacitor related parameters such as the capacitance and the dissipation factor of capacitors, unknown frequency, etc. So these bridges are called AC bridges. The reason is that they are powered by an AC source. In the previous lecture, we had discussed about the DC bridges, example like Wheatstone bridge, Kelvin's double bridge, etc. Those bridges were powered by DC source. So let us look at the first type of bridge, the Maxwell's inductance bridge. So let us first look at the circuit diagram of Maxwell's inductance bridge. So the Maxwell's inductance bridge is, again, it's a bridge which consisting of 4 arms, and the first arm consisting of an unknown resistance, I mean a coil having an internal resistance of R1 and having a self-inductance of L1. It also consisting of the second branch, which composed of a variable inductance having an internal resistance of R2 with an inductance of L2. And additionally, the third and fourth branches consisting of two known variable standard resistors as connected, connected as shown in the figure. Now, there's a detector is connected between these two nodes. Just for our convenience, we are going to mark the labels as A, B, C, and D. I'm going to give a power, and as we have said already, power is AC power. So the branch A consisting of the unknown resistor and unknown parameters. A coil whose resistance and inductance to be calculated, which is already now indicated in red colors. And the second branch AD, which consisting of a standard variable inductor having an inductance of L2 and having the internal resistance of R2. It also consisting of two other resistors, which are variable resistors. These resistors are R3 and R4 respectively. So this is R3 and here we have R4. Okay, as we have mentioned in the AC bridges, a balance is achieved by adjusting the variable components such as the L2 value, R2 and R3. So we'll reach a balance point or the equilibrium point or the balance situation. The balance situation is indicated by the null reading of the detector. So we have a detector is connected here. So the null value or the zero value of the detector indicates the balanced condition. When the bridge is balanced, we can equate the product of the impedances in opposite branches. which means we are going to multiply the impedance of these two branches and we will equate them into the impedance of the other two branches, product of the impedance of the other two branches. Now we have to find out what is the impedance of the first branch. So as we have mentioned earlier that Z1 is calculated by the equation R1 plus j omega L1. This is going to be equation number 1. R1 is the resistance, j omega L1 is the reactance of the first component, the coil, which is connected between A and B. The same manner we can calculate Z2. Z2 is calculated by the equation R2 plus j omega L2. This is going to be the equation number 2. Same way, we'll also having two other resistance. Just for the convenience, we are marking as Z3 is R3 and Z4 is equal to R4. They are pure resistors, but just for our convenience, we are just marking as impedances here. So this particular, so now we can just mark out those values as this is going to be Z1, this is going to be Z4, this is going to be Z3, and this is going to be Z2. So at balance condition, Z1 multiplied by Z4, that must be equal to Z2 Z3. So at balance condition, at balance, we can write Z1, we can write Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3. So this is one of the important conditions. Product of impedances in the opposite arms can be equated. So if you're going to replace the Z1 by the impedance value, what we'll get? We will find R1 plus j omega L1, that is going to be multiplied by R4 is equal to R2 plus j omega L2 multiplied by R3. So we'll try to expand it further. So if you open the bracket, we will have R1 plus, R1 R4 plus j omega L1 into R4, that is equal to R2 R3 plus j omega L2 R3. So now this particular equation consisting of real term as well as imaginary term. So let us try to look at the real term. We are going to separate real term and we are going to separate the imaginary term as well. So what is real term? R1 R4 is equal to R2 R3. So from this, we know that the unknown parameter is R1. So we can calculate the value of R1. R1 is equal to R2 R3 divided by R4. So this is the basic equation we are going to use to find two imaginary terms here. These imaginary terms are this one and this one. So if you are going to equate these two, we will find the following values. J omega L1 R4 is equal to j omega L2 R3. And we know that the unknown parameter is L1 and some of the common terms will be cancelled. So we can cancel out these terms. So L1 is equal to L2 R3 over R4. So what you can see that the unknown, the coil resistance that can be calculated based on the resistor parameters, which are R2, R3 and R4. And the L1 value, the inductance value of, or the inductance of the coil 1 that can be calculated by using the equation L2 R3 and so the if you compare the relation, both the relations, you can see that these two relations are independent, which means that the equation for R1 is a standalone relation, and the equation of L1 is also standalone relation. These two relations are not connected. So this is going to be one of the advantage. It's a very simple method of finding the unknown resistance and inductance of a coil. Now, it is also interested to find out the phasor diagram, for the same connection. So this I'm going to explain here. So as we know that we have 4 arms. The first arm consisting of R1 and L1 or j omega L1. This is what branch A, branch, this is the first branch. Or as per the diagram, we can say this is nothing but the node AB. Node AB. So let me try to reproduce the same. This is going to be R1, j omega L1. We have R2, j omega L2. We have R3, we have R4. And detector is connected here. All right, so let us try to mark out the voltage across each branch. Assume that this is V1, V1 across R1. This is supposed to be V3. And here we have V2, and we have R4, sorry, V4. And also we'll consider some reference current for each branch. Assume that the incoming current is I. Assume that the incoming current is I. And this current is going to split into two. This is I1 and this is I2. At balance condition, you know that the current to this branch is equal to 0. The same amount of current is also going to pass through resistor R3. So this is also going to be I2. Reason is there is no current through this particular detector. So now if you look at V1, V1 is nothing but the voltage across R1, L1. So we can calculate that by using the equation I1 times R1 plus j omega L1. The same manner, we can calculate V3, that is nothing but I1 into R3. So if you, these two things we have to represent by using a vector diagram, because what you can see that vector sum of V1 and V3 will give you the supply voltage. This is what V, if V is the supply voltage, so V is equal to vector V1 plus vector V3. The same manner, we have to find out V2 and V4. V2 is the voltage across R2L2, whereas V4 is the voltage across R4. So either V1, V3 or V2, V4 will give you the results here. So if you are interested in V2, you can also find out the value of V2. V2 is calculated by the equation I2 into R2 plus j omega L2, and V4 is equal to I2 into R4. So both the relations are going to be the same, because the first, V1 consisting of resistor and inductor, and the reactance, inductive reactance, and the second branch consisting of the resistor only, which is the R3 here. So let us try to draw the vector diagram. So let us assume that this is our reference axis, and assume this is our reference First, let us try to mark out the I1. So this reference, I'm just considering like current reference. So I'm just considering that I1 is the I1 is the reference axis. So the first thing is we have to multiply I1 by a factor R1. So that is normally in phase component. So that can be marked as it is. So go to mark I1 R1. So this part is already marked out. I1 R1. Then we need I1 into j omega L1. So you know that I1 and j omega, I mean R1 and inductance has got 90-degree phase difference. So that phase difference is going to be 90-degree. You can just mark this one something like this. So this is going to be j I1 into omega L1. Now R1 I1 R1 vectorially add to j I1 j omega 1, that is going to give us V1. So I'm going to mark this as V1. This is going to be V1. Now the next part is, so first part we have done, V1 is already ready. Now we can calculate I1 into R3. So I1 into R3 is also going to be in phase with I1. Let us assume that we have I1 into R3 something like this. This is I1 into R3. Okay, so that's I1 into R3 is going to be V3. This is going to be V3. So now we have to add V1 and V3 vectorially. So to do that, we have to complete the parallelogram. So we are going to draw a parallel line. That parallel line of length equal to I1 into R3 equal to I1 into R3. Then we have to add from this particular point V1 here. So we are going to add V1 here. And the resultant is obtained by drawing a line. So this is what the resultant. And this resultant indicate V, so the supply voltage. Supply voltage V. The same thing can also be done by using V2 and V4.